Hello and welcome to AC1160 Advanced Accounting Fundamentals. Remember that the contact information is down here with the name, the email address, and the phone number. We also have the office hours, which are on Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific time. That is at a different location in terms of the phone number than my other phone number, because it is a conference call line, in which case you'll need a conference call code, and multiple students can then use that at the same time. We also have a URL that will have a screen share type of software so that we can work through problems visually if you so choose to use that as well. The office hours are not mandatory, but they are a good time to meet. If you cannot meet at that time, it is okay. If you would like to meet at a different time, then you'd have to give me a call or email and see if there's a good time that we can both meet and set up a time in that case. Also, it is a good thing to use this type of software to meet with each other, I find, as well. So if you wanted to set up a meeting with other students, to have a group study meeting or something like that, you can contact each other through the participants and then use something like Skype or joinme.com, or two types of free screen share type software where you can work through problems on something like Excel and work through problems in that format. We also have the website over here. The idea of the website being that if you're somewhere on the go and you just want to go to a hotspot, or if you want to look something up on your phone instead of going to the portal and then to connect, if you just copy and paste this into the phone, hopefully you can watch some of the lectures in that way and pick up some work as you go in that way. So if you clicked on here, you go to this website, there's a drop down on this side. There's also a pages on this side, which should be more accessible to a phone, or they might be on the bottom depending on the size of the screen. You are in Advanced Accounting Fundamentals, so if you click on that, you will then get a list of hyperlinks. It's just a drop-down page with all the videos in order, so you can find whatever chapter you're in and click on that, or just scroll down through the page and you should find the videos in that way. If you are having an issue with this site, then they also are housed on YouTube. So if you go to YouTube, you could go to YouTube directly and then subscribe to the channel, or just, save the URL, and then you should be able to find the same videos in the YouTube, although it's not as well organized within YouTube. So keep those in mind as you're going. We're going to go to the gradebook on the left-hand side. That's going to be this green icon. Remember that the grades are due on Sunday, and then I have until Tuesday to put the grades in there. So both late work for week 1 as well as week 2's work should be in there by Tuesday. You want to go in there by Tuesday, and if you have done the work, this will change to a grade. If you have not done the work for week 2, then a 0 will happen. Any work for week 1 should be updated and graded by that time. If you go in there and see that it's not looking like you think it should, then let me know and I will take a look at it. I'm going to go back up to the cookie trail up top. Also, if you have a 0 on anything, or if anything's less than full credit, think about doing the late work. I'm going to go back to the cookie trail. We're going to take a look at the announcements. Going to scroll down. We got some article announcements. You're not required to read the articles, but if they're interesting, then you can read them and you can discuss them in any discussion forum post, and that could give you some discussion forum topics to go into there. We have the regulatory policy announcements. The school had asked us, all instructors, to post these, so these regulatory announcements aren't geared towards any particular class or any particular student. They're geared towards the entire student body, and the first one has to do with academic dishonesty, and that generally has to do with copying each other's work and or copying work from Google or some other source, and that's very common when we are now on the internet for people to just copy and paste work. Just keep in mind that in a paper, that's always kind of inappropriate unless you, of course, cite the work. So when you copy it, cite the work, and you don't want to have your whole paper copied, obviously. And if you are in something on like a discussion forum, it might not be as clear that how much you can copy and paste. Remember that anything that you copy and paste within an academic setting should be referenced. So if you copy and paste from Google, then just give me the URL, give us the URL so we can take a look at it. That would not be plagiarism. Remember that if you copy and paste from Google and that's your whole post, but you give the URL, that is not plagiarism, but it's also not the greatest post. You want to put it in your own words as well. So keep that in mind. Makeup work. This is basically the general late policy that is in the catalog for all classes for the most part, and that will be that work needs to be in by Sunday, of course. If it's not in by Sunday, then you may have a 72-hour time period in which to turn it in, and there is generally a 20% markdown on it. Also, things like discussion forum posts and quizzes need to be in by Sunday. So if they're not in by, so make sure to do the quizzes and the discussion forum posts. If you can't get those in because of some unusual circumstance, then you have to contact me, and I take that on a case-by-case basis. The other work, homework and assignments, you generally will have a 72-hour time period. And again, contact me if there's any questions on that as well. The way I would approach this late policy at this time would be, make sure to get everything in by Sunday that you can. If you can't get it in by Sunday, then turn in whatever you have. Try to start all the assignments and give a shot at it, even if you don't feel confident that it's totally completed, and turn it in so that a couple things will happen. We can avoid the late points on it, even though you won't maybe get full credit on it because it's not up to par. I can grade it. I can also am able to give feedback at that time. Then you can go back in it and pick up more points, and we can reduce the need for late point reduction in that way, as well as allow for feedback on it. And then you can pick up more points, and I can grade it again the following week. So in terms of this policy, that's how I would approach this policy. Turn everything in that you can on the longer problems. If you're not up to par on it, turn it in anyways. Turn in the start of the problem. Let me take a look at it, see if I can get you moving on it. Avoid the late point policy, then try to continue on it in the following week. Going down to the current week that we are in, which is going to be week 3. And we have the objectives, we got the topic, we've got the lesson. So here's going to be your videos. We're going to be on chapters 10 and 11. Once again, you could find these lecture videos directly on the website. So instead of going through the Moodle shell that we are in here now, you could also find them here directly without going into these 3 websites to get there. And we also have the discussion. Remember that the Moodle rooms is where you want to check something off. So this area where we are looking now is where you want to find and make sure that you have done everything by Sunday in week 3. So once you're done with the discussion, you can say, okay, check it, I did that. Assignments, we want to check it off. You've done that. Even though we will be doing them in Connect, this is where you want to check them off and make sure that you did it. Homework, you got these 2 here. Just check them off as you go within Moodle rooms, even though they're done in Connect. And then same with the quiz. Check it off that you've done it here. Get in the habit of using this as the area where you check off the work. Discussion forums, you need at least 4 posts to get full credit. I would suggest doing more than 4 posts. The idea on the grading is, in my mind, make sure that get full credit on the discussion forum posts because they're worth 21% of the grade. They are completely subjective in that as long as you contribute to the conversation, you should get full credit. Make sure to get full credit on the discussion forums. Then pick up as much of the assignments and the homeworks as possible. There's going to be a lot of resources to help out with the assignments and homeworks. Although they are long, don't get a 0 on them because given the resources, you should be able to give a good start on them with a fairly short amount of time to pick up some points on them and then go back and pick up any more that you need to do. Then we have the quiz. Quiz needs to be in by Sunday. If you are in a time constraint, make sure to get the quiz, which of course is the midterm in this case, by the end of Sunday. And this is the area where you have the least amount of leeway. So make sure to do it. Do as well as you can. Study on it. If you don't do as well as you hoped to do, then you can pick up the grade substantially by making sure to get full credit on discussion and as high credit as possible on the assignments and the homework. Now the assignments and the homework will be in Moodle rooms over here. So you're going to go down to week 3. And the homeworks are going to be the Learn Smarts. I would generally do those first. And again, if you run into a time constraint, start them at least. Get through as much of them as possible. And then let me comment on it and then continue. Same with the assignments. The assignments, of course, are the longer problems. So give them a good start. And if you run into a time constraint, then do the best you can on this one. And then move to this one. Do the best you can by Sunday. Get them in by Sunday. And then let me comment and feedback on it. Remember that these paper clips are not to be turned in. They're just for your help. But they will have generally an Excel sheet with generally videos and often an example problem. Given the example problem and the video to help out with the assignment above it, you should have a lot of resources to pick up some points in a fairly short amount of time. And given those resources with a lot of time, you should be able to get through those assignments. And then, of course, you've got the midterm down here, chapters 6, 8, and 9. Make sure to take that by Sunday. Any questions, give me a call, and that's going to be it for week 3, so have a great week 3.